With the drafting of Victor Wembanyama, the highly sought-after 7'4" anomaly is going to receive the majority of attention this coming season. The future of the Spurs is looking bright. However, someone I believe was overlooked last season will finally be noticed as more eyes will be watching the Spurs. From going from unranked in high school to a lottery selected pick, Devin Vassell is a 6'5" guard who played for Florida State for 2 seasons before being drafted to the San Antonio Spurs with the 11th pick in the 2020 NBA draft. In the previous season, he went under the radar, one reasoning being that he played for one of the worst teams in the NBA, but also because of a knee injury, which resulted in him playing only 38 games. In those games, Vassell averaged 18 points per game, 4 rebounds, and 3 assists on 44% shooting and nearly 40% from 3. With DeJounte Murray no longer on the team, he joined Keldon Johnson as one of the team's main offensive engines. With Vassell, one thing about him is his ability to move off of a catch into a pull-up jumper. His few dribbles into a shot, combined with his high set point, makes it difficult for defenders to counteract when he fakes downhill. Right here, both Luka and Kyrie notice that Keldon Johnson is trying to give Vassell the ball. Vassell steps towards the top of the key and then jets over towards the ball before Kyrie can get a running start, where he takes a single dribble before going up into a heavily contested shot over Luka. His tough shot-making ability is one of the most notable parts of his game. He shot 48% when tightly contested, 43% on tight contests when over 10 feet away from the basket, and an even more impressive 39% on tightly contested threes. His savvy footwork works with his crafty dribbling to allow for him to attempt these tough shots, especially off of the fade. His tendency to stop and pull up in the mid-range is also one of his deadly assets, where here, on this play, he receives the ball from Keldon Johnson as the Spurs run an elbow pin down, and then immediately takes 2 dribbles before taking and making the pull-up over his defender. Another play, after coming around the screen, he then fakes exaggerated steps inside, before quickly sidestepping over into his shot. His consistent use of swift sidesteps, jump stops, and dramatic fakes lends credibility to his 46% shooting on mid-range shots, where you could say he could be one of the league's better mid-range scorers. He shot 40% on pull-up jumpers with a significant 7 attempts a game, though he would struggle on his pull-up threes, where he shot an abysmal 28%. And this is due to his tendency to lean away from the paint, even on mismatches, where instead of using his quickness to get past the slower Lauri Markkanen, he settles for a 3. His shying away from contact, despite his high usage on offense, results in him taking some rather questionable shots. After receiving the ball, with the lane wide open and DeAndre Jordan backing up, there's no attempt to float the ball up into the rim or at least draw a foul. For reference, let's compare his rim frequency to Max Strus and Buddy Hield, who are often spot-up shooters. Rim frequency is the percent of layups, dunks, and tip shots a player takes. In his total of 38 games, compared to the others, there isn't a significant discrepancy in attempts between the 3 of them. While his 61% accuracy at the rim isn't worrying, he leaves a lot to be desired in terms of the pressure he exerts at the rim, where his touch could use some improvement. The mid-range maestro, however, succeeds on his 3-pointers, shooting 39% from range last season. What was even more impressive was his astounding 49% shooting on corner threes. He can quickly run the baseline with the ball, dish it off to a teammate, and immediately relocate to the corner for a 3, or sprint through screens around the perimeter before once again showing off his shot-making ability. His confidence to immediately rise up into his shot allows for him to get a step on his defenders closing out, and defenders continuously have to search for him as he shot a colossal 42% on catch-and-shoot triples, where the threat of his shooting prowess gets defenders up into the air, making space for an easy pull-up jumper or a drive to the basket. An uncertain portion of his game is his playmaking ability. He shows flashes of creating opportunities for his teammates, even without any extraordinary decision-making or precision. When driving downhill, while he takes a little longer than he should, he recognizes the defensive lapse from Shaedon Sharpe and flips it over to the corner for a wide-open 3. He can make the right passes around to the perimeter, and in his pick-and-roll situations, he knows when to send it down below to the bigs while they're in favorable positions. He's also not prone to turn over the ball, and while he doesn't have a tricky handle or daunting athleticism, his controlled pace stirs him away from becoming turnover driven. Now, like with most players that become their team's main options, their defensive ability weakens as they have to carry the offensive load. Vassell isn't a notable one-on-one defender, and he isn't quick at changing direction to cut off players, but his potential as a team defender is very clear. He hounds off-ball players like a hawk, and can quickly recognize and react towards sudden cuts and off-ball screens. His 6'10" wingspan allows for him to deflect and steal passes, and he gets off good contests on both closeouts and drives to the rim. For a player that's only 22, he has plenty of time to build on his offensive consistency, playmaking, and his defense. With even more room to thrive due to the presence of Victor Wembanyama, he'll be able to get better looks while also having an effective big man to space out the floor next to him. For this young Spurs core, to have such a lethal scorer that's this young, they're sure to make some noise in the future.